So it's the middle of 2024 and seemingly the things are not getting as good as we would want them to be in UX. You know, we had layoffs, we have all the market corrections, things of that nature. And if you remember, I ran this live stream in the beginning of the year about what UX in 2024 is going to look like and what to expect. So for example, I asked you to look for 3 specific signals to know that, okay, things are actually getting better. One was the tech IPOs finally back, or like they're increasing, or there's more of tech IPOs and indications that companies are going public. That's one big one, which means that things are actually pretty good, right? That some tech startups are well off. The second one was actual roles. Even in the beginning of the year, we already had openings of the roles. However, I was already caveating that a lot of them are going to be ghost roles, or they're going to be open for the future iterations or for the future cycles of rehiring, because that's how sadly a lot of the recruitment and a lot of the industry operates right now, where they kind of like preempt so that they have a pool of talent they can approach eventually. And it's such a shame because it might kind of spark hopes that, okay, things are getting better, but in reality they're not. Anyhow, pushing that out of the way, the third one was that recruiters themselves are being rehired, which is massive. I cannot overstress this enough how important it is, because someone has to source you as a talent. Someone has to source you as a candidate, expedite the actual process, communicating with all the different parties involved. So that's a big one. And that has been happening from the beginning of the year, where big tech was rehiring the actual sourcers. And all of these 3 things happen at a very consistent and steady pace. But this video, I want to kind of unpack another angle to this. Let's look into the actual projections to understand exactly where are we at today, mid-year, and what can we expect in the next, I don't know, a few months or maybe a couple of years. So the fourth thing, and something you should kind of bookmark or at least keep in your mind so that you have signals which are happening in the market, is the interest rate, because that basically tells you exactly how cheap is the money right now. If you open something like the US federal funds effective rate, you can zoom out and see exactly where we're at. If we take, I don't know, the last, just before the COVID, and here, like 2016 or so, things were okay-ish. And this is US, by the way, but the world follows. But you're going to notice that, okay, we had like this massive dip, the productivity increase because of the remote working, other adjustments, companies trying to invest more heavily into their talent and resources and things of that nature. And such, we had like a really good ride of a lot of hiring, basically. The unpredictabilities increased and other variables adjusted, which you know well of. The crisis happened, and as such, it went up. And as you can see, we're on this very steady actual effective rate. If I were to pull something like Euro side, you're going to notice something similar. However, there is a bit of a slight dip most recently. Why I wanted to bring this up, because it can give you macro outlook of what's to come. So for example, if we were to zoom out 5 years, let's take maximum, we can actually compare what happened before the dot-com boom and the bust. This chart, because of a plateau and stabilization and slight decline and a trend down, which is very small really, it's hard to predict. As long as nothing bad happens in the world, which is already in shambles, should actually be going down. And this is my personal presumption, that the things are going to be improving slightly, and it should be improving quite well. That's purely from the plateaus we had before, and you know, the different climbs we had before, historically speaking. And it's obviously unfair to compare these things like that, just shooting from the hip, but you kind of have to if you really want to anticipate. Now, with this anticipation, one thing follows the other. And as such, you know, just knowing that, okay, we might be going on a decline on the interest rates, we can anticipate that the actual roles are going to increase too. And I can already see that there are many more openings in everything UX, product design or research. And just the last month, interestingly, there was this big spike in openings. For example, in UK right now, in just 7 days, there has been a growth of 6% of the roles. And I noticed that immediately. I was just browsing and I saw, oh, new opening in UX design, and variety of different seniorities too. I saw one junior opening, which is always a good signal to look out for, because then it tells that there's more senior folk who want to upskill other people. Still, it opens the doors for more people who want to break into the field. For example, there's always a need for senior UXers or principal level UXers, or as long as we can imagine that's going to be the case. But for more junior or most senior or most managerial type of roles, there has been quite a few openings. Same with the US, which is quite interesting. That's even more larger, as I said, kind of UK, I guess, or Europe follows the tech giants. More disruptive, innovative, and much more, I guess, brave in a way, or free US market. And as such, 14% in the last 7 days is massive. That to me is such a small signal in a bigger interest rate decline signal that I kind of tie it in together, and I think that's what we can expect. So that's the recent data. But zooming out, I think this is a prime time to start getting after it. Granted, there is still hundreds of applicants. If I were to open a random role, let's say this is from Google, UX designer, I would presume it's a mid-weight. It has over 100 applicants. If I were to open something else, lead UX designer, again, this is not about the companies itself or their openings, but more so about how many applicants we receive. That has, you could argue, been a case for a while, and I think LinkedIn now abstracts the actual numbers. So if it's 200, they might tell you over 100. Maybe they just want to make us feel less depressed that it's over 100, it's not 1,000 or 500. That's what you're still going to be dealing with for a while. So for example, if today you're facing 200 competing applicants who are other candidates, you're probably going to be doing the same until the end of the year, maybe into the 2025. Because I feel like the 2025 and 2026, I know it's easy to project like that, but I think those are going to be the recovery years, especially if we follow this trajectory of interest rates recovering, as well as, you know, this stable uptick of new roles. So for example, one theme which I wanted to bring up in this video is as well my chat with one of the recruitment managers in certain firm who just does headhunting. It was interesting to hear their perspective, and it's something I like to do anyways. When recruiters reach out to me, I kind of pick their brain and say, hey, how do you feel the market is going? Again, anecdotal takes, right? But their take was that rehiring is happening, but every hiring manager we talk to are very careful of kind of over hiring, because everybody got burnt in this last couple of years. So burnt that even now, as the budgets are there and the need for the actual candidates to come in and take on the roles are there, there's massive gaps in every single company because over-optimization happen, a lot of layoffs happen, like someone has to pick up the debt and maintenance of good projects. Still, the hiring managers are very conservative, and I think that's going to persist up until probably mid-2025. Don't take my word for granted on this. Again, I'm speculating from what I know, from what I can gather. I'm talking to people, I'm still learning. Maybe tomorrow I'm gonna have a conversation, or maybe read your comment down below which states, hey, this is a data bit, and I don't think that's true. That's gonna update my hypotheses and the actions to take. I'm gonna leave you with that. If you're trying to break in, make sure to look out for those roles which are budding up. If you're waiting and you're applying, make sure to split your time between you working on your tools to get that job, like the resume, the portfolio, the actual projects, the most important part. Double down on it, split your time, and then split another time to look for the jobs. And that obviously applies to absolutely everyone, even if you're, let's say, a director, a head of, or a senior, or a lead, or staff designer, principal, doesn't matter. You kind of like need to see, okay, this is what I have. Maybe I have, you know, some time on my hands and I'm looking for these opportunities. I need to also double down and express my skills in the best of light as I have some time. And because of those debts I described before, I think as time goes, the velocity should increase as well, but for a while we're going to be quite stable. Now, what do you think about this? Do you have any other thoughts? Any other angles, signals? Make sure to share it in a comment, because it's going to benefit the community, myself too, and we all can learn from it. On that note, I'll see you next time.